Christian Bale was preparing for his role in American Psycho, dressing the part, hitting the gym, getting his teeth redone. There was just one problem. He didn't actually have the part. Leonardo DiCaprio did. What Went Wrong is a podcast dedicated to the idea that every movie is a miracle. Join Lizzie Bassett and Chris Winterbauer every other week as they unearth the chaos and humanity behind Hollywood's biggest flops and most shocking successes. They aren't here to dunk on your favorite films. They're here to celebrate movies. As the New York Times said, they're movie industry people who truly love films and the people who make them. Listen to What Went Wrong wherever you get your podcasts. This episode of One Hit Thunder is brought to you by DistroKid.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Hey guys, we have a merch store now, so if you haven't already, go to onehitthunder.dasherly.com and go and buy some shirts, mugs, hats, phone cases, all with the One Hit Thunder logo on it. We're definitely going to be making more podcast and music related shirts to put up there throughout the next coming months. But right now it's just the logo. So go and support us any way you can. But the best way right now is hitting up our merch store. Thanks. Enjoy the episode.
Bust it.
This week, our Patreon pals picked a song that had Matt and I cutting a rug down memory lane. Young MC's 1989 smash hit, Bust a Move. From penning hits for Tone Loc to grabbing a Grammy and storming the charts, Young MC made the most of a short but unforgettable moment in the spotlight. We dig into how the song came together, the role Delicious Vinyl played, and why this track still hits decades later. Plus, we look at what happened after the hype, from his evolving music career to his appearances on everything from Celebrity Fit Club to new indie releases. So throw on your flyest outfit, turn up the boombox, and get ready to bust a move with us.
Come on, Fatso, and just bust the move.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever.
And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder? So Matt, we'll start this episode with, what does it mean to bust a move? What does busting a move mean to you?
Ooh. So I think, all right, so this is going to be a little bit of a visual aid, right? But like, we're two white people. We've got a very specific kind of like comfortable dance where the hands are up and we're just kind of bopping. And I think busting a move is when you really add some pizzazz. You do something big. You go, bah! Like, you know, like feet are kicking out a little bit more. You're really like feeling yourself. I feel busting a move is more than just regular dancing. You're like being a showboat on the dance floor.
That's pretty good, man. You did a pretty good job. According to the internet, bust a move means to start dancing, especially with enthusiasm or flair. It's usually playful, like when someone hears a good beat and just has to hit the floor with some moves.
Okay. I have a story of me apparently busting a move then.
I have a story too. Let's hear yours first.
So this was a wedding. I feel like many bust a move stories happen at weddings, but it was the first wedding I was attending after like I started going to therapy and I was feeling like great, you know, like you're just like feeling on top of the world. And I just wanted to be on that dance floor. the whole night. And I remember my friends were all like, they had one of those photo booths with the silly hats. So we're all in this little corner trying to like get ready, and people are taking too goddamn long. And all of a sudden, I hear the wedding band, because this was the only time I think I've ever been to a wedding that had a band instead of a DJ. And all of a sudden, the singer of the band just goes, "Well, wait a minute." And I'm like, oh, they're about to do Shout. So I'm like, guys, I'll be back in 2 minutes. And there's a video somewhere of me running to the dance floor enthusiastically. But as I'm running, every time that they say Shout, you see my hands fly up in the air on the way from the photo booth to the dance floor. And then I just get right in the center of that dance floor and start dancing my ass off.
Nice. That's a good Bust a Move story. Mine, which several of our past guests on One Hit Thunder were present for this moment in my life. Now, this was a long time ago. I was in college, and myself and some of my friends were visiting past One Hit Thunder guest Matt Jersevich at his college in Bethany College in West Virginia. And we go to this bar. He takes us to this bar. I was drunk enough that I kind of only have half memories, so I'm kind of going off of what people tell me about it. But man, I wish I could remember what song it was. Let's pretend it was To Bust a Move, because that would be a perfect song for this to happen to. Maybe some friends could fill us in after the fact as to what song it was. But I got out on the dance floor, took off one shoe, held that one shoe in both of my hands, and kind of danced with that one shoe in my hand. And then also up on the wall was a mounted deer head. So I went between dancing with my shoe to pointing in rhythm at the deer head back and forth. And then all of a sudden, Matt, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Can't Buy Me Love with Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
And I had my African anteater dance moment when other people started doing this dance with me, including like girls at the bar and stuff. And I had my moment of being this dancing star starting this dance. This was my Bust a Move moment, or at least what I can remember of it. So yeah, that's my story of busting a move from many years ago. But today, Matt, we are here to talk about Young MC's Bust a Move, which seems like a song that you would like.
I got no problem with Bust a Move. I get excited when I hear Bust a Move at a party. I definitely, we talked about this, I think, with Baby Got Back as well. This is definitely one of those early 90s rap songs where, like, you put this on, I'm pretty confident that I know every word to this song and will, like, rap along with it while I'm dancing. Now, I could be totally wrong. It also could be one of those circumstances where you go in with a lot of confidence on that first verse, and then, like, midway through the second verse, you're like, oh, shit, I only know the first verse of this song.
It's got a lot of memorable lines, and I did notice when I was listening to it this time, it is one of those songs maybe slightly overplayed over the years, but not as bad as Baby Got Back, I would say. If I heard this song, I'd be more apt to get on the dance floor than Baby Got Back. I'm not as sick of it. I did notice that I never really paid attention, and like a lot of 80s and 90s rap, the lyrics obviously tell a story you could very much follow along with and understand what's going on here. A lot of information thrown at you, but I do really think that Young MC has a nice flow.
He does. And here's where, let's jump into the first really big thing, was that Young MC had already made a bit of a name for himself before this song by writing Tone Loc's two biggest hits. He wrote Wild Thing and Funky Cold Medina, both which kind of also have a storytelling rap concept to it.
Those songs, I saw him listed as a co-writer. I don't know if Tone Loc co-wrote them or if Young MC just straight up wrote the songs. And that then Tone Loc, who had a very distinctive voice and style, then did it. I really wanted to know, did Young MC straight up write these? But what's interesting about that to me is those two Tone Loc songs, Funky Cold Medina and Wild Thing, they are the two songs that I would have compared this to had I not even known that. These three songs
well,
are...
especially Funky Cold Medina. Funky Cold Medina and Bust a Move feel almost like verses could interchange between these songs, and I wouldn't notice.
Right. Yeah. And Young MC is very interesting because he was born in London.
That my first note has an exclamation point and a question mark because it's Young MC was born in London. Now, he moved to the States when he was 3, so he probably grew up with a very strong American, and he didn't probably have a British accent when you're moving back to the States at 3 years old. But that was not, when I saw British born, I was taken aback for a second.
Yeah, but I do think that, once again, he came to the U.S. when he was 3, so I don't know how much this has to do with it, but maybe having English parents could have something to do with this. I do feel like people from England in general, not everybody, but a real mastery of the English language, which could translate to someone who not only has a really great flow and a lot of lyrics, but he seems to have... to be very clever with the English language, I would say. He's very good, and you can very much understand every single lyric of his songs.
Well, I think it's hilarious how he got signed. Was like, the story that I read was that he somehow, it didn't really give many details on how he made a connection with Michael and Mike from Delicious Vinyl, but he ended up rapping to them over the phone, and then they had a record contract delivered to his dorm room at USC.
Yes, Matt is referring to Michael Ross and Matt Dyke from Delicious Vinyl. This was the label that sold 2.5 million copies of Tone Loc's Wild Thing, which at this point, I was a little unclear on the timeline here. So did they call up Young MC in his dorm room at USC and sign him, and then he wrote the 2 songs for Tone Loc, or had he already written these 2 songs from Tone Loc? So they're like, oh, we're obviously going to give you a record contract. That's what I couldn't figure out here.
It looks like here, I'm looking at the wiki for Delicious Vinyl, so it's not exactly the most packed information I've ever seen, but they had just started the label in 87. So this probably is like, they're a brand new record label. Maybe there was a connection. It said that they founded it in 1987, and it was almost an immediate success because their first releases were Master Rhymes, Cracker Jack, and On Fire by Tone Loc. So I'm assuming that Tone Loc maybe had a little bit of an establishment, and he was from like that LA scene. Maybe he had bumped in to Young MC and liked his flow and recommended him to these guys. And then they said, how about you guys collaborate together on this idea? Like there's probably like a little bit of a couple steps there. I mean, their resume was pretty impressive, because then it was Tone Loc, Young MC, then Mellow Man Ace, who was like another like one-hit wonder hit. And then I think their biggest thing was, to me anyway, Far Side, Bizarre Ride to the Far Side they put out with like Passing Me By, which is how I know the record label, because I love, that's like one of my all-time favorite rap albums. That was kind of the peak for them, and then I think they kind of slowly disappeared once you get into like the mid 90s. But for that late 80s, early 90s period, I think they were kind of like one of the top record labels for this very, very different than like the NWA style rap. This was that like introspective party jam hip hop that they were putting out.
And also the Delicious Vinyl guys, they were very early, probably not the earliest. I think Run DMC were probably the earliest, but they were early on the inserting of rock riffs into rap singles.
Oh, we'll talk about that when we get to Young MC's second album.
Yeah,
for sure.
But this song, Bust a Move, was built on a sample of a song called Found a Child by the group Ball and Jack. Now, I have no idea who Ball and Jack is, but I went and checked out that song. This song also has samples of Scorpio by Dennis Coffey and the Detroit Guitar Band, and Daytime Hustler by Bette Midler. Those happen in like the breakdown. This song also has guest vocals by Crystal Blake. And of course, to really bring the rock and funk into this. Man, did he have his bass playing fingers and a lot of things in this era. Flea, who also appears in the music video for Bust a Move. That's pretty cool.
But again, I bring this up a lot. This is still like Red Hot Chili Peppers are not Red Hot Chili Peppers in 1989. You know, Mother's Milk just came out, which is kind of like the beginning of people knowing who they are. And then in 91, I feel like is when they blow up in like a massive way.
They weren't obscure. Mother's Milk had some hits,
Yeah.
and also we're talking about like mainstream big, but Red Hot Chili Peppers definitely had a big following at this point. I think maybe
Oh,
Flea,
for sure. Yeah.
anything you're doing in LA, Flea was probably the go-to studio guy. Like if Flea was down for doing it, and it seems like Flea was down for doing it no matter what it was at this point, and why not?
Yeah. I just think it's a funny trajectory of like Red Hot Chili Peppers have these like first 3 or 4 albums that are like definitely big LA hits but aren't making mainstream moves. Mother's Milk happens. Next thing you know, Flea is playing bass on Bust a Move. Then he's appearing in Back to the Future 2 and 3, and then Blood, Sugar, Sex Magic. What a crazy 3 years in the life of Flea.
I mean, Flea was doing it all. Flea was in, you know, I mean, that was later Big Lebowski. He was in that movie, The Chase. He was like, all these years, Flea.
Yeah.
I like to think that if I were Flea at this time, I would do exactly what Flea was doing. Just having
just say yes
fun.
to anything.
Yes, saying yes to everything, playing bass on everything, trying your hand at acting, just being like a cool, fun guy. I think I think Flea's really interesting that way.
I agree. And this song was pretty big. It hit number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. I pulled up the charts here, and this was in between Tears for Fears, Sowing the Seeds at number 6, and
Yeah, good
Heaven
song.
by Warrant at 8.
Yeah.
And then this top 5 is such a weird mixed bag.
It is.
With number 5, we have Mixed Emotions from the Rolling Stones. Number 4, we have Love Song by The Cure. 3, we have Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You by Milli Vanilli. 2, we have Cherish by Madonna. And number 1, Miss You Much by Janet Jackson. And the 2 Matt Kelly debuts I want to shout out
Yeah, I know
was
what
at
they are.
58, Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire, and 86, Technotronics, Pump Up the Jam.
What a wild crossroads of artists and points in their careers. Janet Jackson, Madonna, The Cure, The Rolling Stones, Tears for Fears. You had Milli Vanilli in the mix. That's like wild. Some of the like Rolling Stones are the old guard. You have The Cure, which is, I don't know, by 1989, I feel like
This is
I don't
towards
know.
the end of The Cure, I think. Like I
the
feel like
end
The
of their
Cure.
mainstream.
That's what I mean. I feel like the final kind of big Cure moment is maybe them on the Crow soundtrack in 94. And I don't
Yeah,
think they ever had anything big post that song, really.
I would disagree. I think their biggest moment was yet to come because I think that Friday I'm in Love was after this. I think Friday I'm in Love was like 91 or something.
Well, no, I'm saying The Crow. The Crow in 94, I think, is the...
Okay.
So they're still like building a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, Friday
yeah.
I'm in Love is definitely late 80s, early 90s. It might even be on the same album as Love Song. I can't remember. But
Yeah, and
they
Janet-
were releasing a lot of records like year after year after year, so they all kind of get muddied in this time period for me.
Yeah, and Janet and Madonna are right in
Oh,
there. This is peak Janet and Madonna, although I do think Janet's peak came slightly later. Also in the mix here, Matt, at this moment when Bust a Move hit number 7 on the Hot 100, which, by the way, it stayed in the Hot 100 for 39 weeks, 20 of those weeks in the top 40, and it went on to win the 1990 Grammy for Best Rap Performance.
Did
So,
you see what it was nominated with?
No.
Okay. I love Bust a Move. I'm going to say that right now. Bust a Move should not have won this Best Rap Performance
Oh.
Grammy. So other nominees included Tone Loc's Funky Cold Medina,
Okay.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince's I Think I Can Beat Mike Tyson,
Ha.
De La Soul's Me, Myself, and I, and the song that definitely should have beat Bust a Move for the rap performance of the year, Public Enemy's Fight the Power. which is just such a that's such a good song.
Oh, man, that is the Grammy voters that year chose a feel-good song over a song, punching up at authority. That's an interesting choice.
This was only the second Grammy for rap as well. This is the second year that there was a rap Grammy.
People were scared.
They're still trying
These
to figure out
voters were
what
too
people
scared.
look for at rap. I have a question for you about this song, though, right? So
Okay.
this song comes out. It's massive, like you said. It's like in the top 40 for like 20 weeks. It's just this giant song. The debut the album Stone Cold Rhymin' goes all the way to 9 on the album charts. Even the follow-up single, which I don't think charted too well, but Principal's Office is still getting nominated for a VMA. Like, things are going well for Young MC. And then he leaves Delicious Vinyl, goes to Capitol, and it's kind of just like that steady downward trajectory that we see time and time again. We'll talk about these albums, but what my question is do you think, personally, that Bust a Move stayed popular this whole time? Or, like, I'm looking at, like, movies that it was featured in, and in my eyes, it seems like it shows up in Uncle Buck in 1989 when the song came out. The next movie that it brings up is Dude, Where's My Car in 2000. Do you think that there was like this 10-period gap where it was kind of like, yeah, that was like a fun song back in the day, and then it shows up in like a nostalgic, comedic, retrospective way, and now it's the overplayed song?
Yes, because obviously what you're getting at here is by the early 90s, this sort of fun, clean dance rap that was out there in the late 80s and very early 90s got eliminated from people thinking it was cool in the mainstream and stuff by gangster rap.
Yep.
Like that, it was just another victim of that. And it's a shame because I do think Young MC's pretty good and does some pretty cool things musically in his music. But yeah, I think you're right because I look at this list. Dude, Where's My Car? You, Me, and Dupree. The Blind Side, 17 Again. It was in the Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I think the reason it was, which by the way, the Perks of Being a Wallflower, I think I brought this up to you before. I hated that movie the first time I saw it. Then I watched it again. It was just on like, I think I put it on like Tubi or something. I was like, because it takes place in Pittsburgh. And I was like, I want to watch this because it takes place in Pittsburgh again. And the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, I love this movie. This is amazing.
Did you ever read the book that it was based on?
No, I didn't read the book.
So what's interesting about that movie, just real quick. So Perks of Being a Wallflower is, I won't say it's my favorite book of all time, but it's the book that got me into reading as a kid. It came out, and I remember I had a teacher who gave it to me because I was struggling with Catcher in the Rye. And he's like, this is a more modern version of Catcher in the Rye. Read this, and I think you'll get what Catcher in the Rye is about when you think about this book and that book at the same time. But the movie Perks of Being a Wallflower is written and directed by the author of the book Perks of Being a Wallflower, because he went to film school and had written a script and no one wanted to produce it. So he just turned his script into a book, and it became like one of the best-selling young adult novels of all time. And he was able to leverage that to jumpstart his filmmaking career after the fact.
Wow. Has that ever happened before? That the author of the book, you're saying then he wrote the screenplay and directed
it.
movie?
It's very rare that happens. But yeah, like he's directed like 2 or 3 other movies since then. But that was like the success of that book was what allowed him, because people kept wanting to make an adaptation, and he basically, I think, held to his guns and was like, if you're going to make an adaptation, I'm writing and directing it. Like, I'm not going to give you the right. And he held off until someone was willing to meet his demands of letting him write and direct the screenplay.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
He's a Philly dude as well. So, or a Pittsburgh dude as well. So it's about Pittsburgh from a guy who grew up in Pittsburgh.
How did I not know this? That's really cool. So, but yes, in the Perks of Being a Wallflower, that takes place in I guess
Early
it
90s.
has to be around that time. And then it's also in It, which also is a throwback to then.
Yeah.
So I do think you're right. I think at a certain point, maybe there was a decade where it was very out of fashion and then it came back in, which is cool. It was kind of like gangster rap had come and gone. Not come and gone, but its peak in the mid 90s had come and gone. And maybe people were open to other styles of hip hop again by a decade plus later. Young MCs.
Maybe it was just a missing for it. Maybe it was because there was a
Yeah.
point where it felt like the only rap you were hearing was gangster rap for a little bit. And I think that whenever there's just an influx of one specific genre, like subgenre of something, you become nostalgic for the other stuff before that. And
Yeah.
I think that's just psychologically that makes sense. But yes, we're going to dive into these second albums because you sent me a song that I never heard before today off this second album that rules.
Well, yeah. And I got to say that The Principal's Office, which is the second single from the album that Bust a Move is on, Stone Cold Rhymin', it was nominated for Best Rap Video at the 1990 VMAs. The song peaked at number 33. I listened to it, and keep in mind, I'm a kid, and I'm like soaking in everything.
Glued
of
to the
course, I
radio.
knew all
Yeah.
about Bust a Move. I had never heard this song before.
I knew this song in the last 4 or 5 years. I think that I had seen a video about Young MC and I was like, oh, that song's pretty good. And I just added it to my general Spotify playlist that I had. And it's fine. I will say that Young MC musically reminds me a lot of another rapper we've talked about, which is Skee-Lo. I feel like Principal's
Yes.
Office, and it kind of gives me the same vibe as the Top of the Stairs feels like after you listen to I Wish. It's oh, I get where they're going with this. It's sort of the same, but it's a little different.
Hey there, One Hit Thunder listeners. Are you ready to take your music to the next level? Well, get ready to rock because this episode is brought to you by DistroKid, the ultimate digital music distribution service for artists like you. With DistroKid, you can easily upload your songs or albums to online stores and streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube Music, reaching fans all around the globe. But that's just the beginning. DistroKid offers a ton of awesome features like Hyperfollow, which helps you promote your releases and get pre-saves on your songs, all for free. But wait, there's more. The DistroKid app is now available on iOS and Android. With the app, you can manage your releases, track your streaming stats, and even withdraw your earnings, all from the palm of your hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. This powerful tool allows you to put the finishing touches on your tracks in minutes, ensuring they sound polished and professional every time. But that's not all. DistroKid has just launched a brand new feature called Instant Share, allowing you to easily share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more. With Instant Share, you can keep your music streaming at the highest quality while making the best impression possible. So what are you waiting for? Elevate your music career today with DistroKid and unlock a world of possibilities. Possibilities that I know all about because I've been using DistroKid for years. It's seriously great. If you haven't used it before, you're going to love it. And One Hit Thunder listeners get an exclusive offer, 30% off your first year with DistroKid by signing up at distrokid.com/VIP/OneHitThunder. That's distrokid.com/VIP/OneHitThunder.
The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in Virginia. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You want to hear the real story behind the rock artists, the albums, and the songs that have become the soundtrack of your life, straight from the legends who lived them? I'm Adam Reeder, the Professor of Rock, and on the Professor of Rock podcast, we go deep into the heart of the music that defines us and our greatest memories. Exclusive interviews, behind-the-scenes moments, and the untold truths of rock's greatest hits, told by the artists themselves, stories you won't find anywhere else. If music moves you, this is your backstage pass. Subscribe now to the Professor of Rock podcast.
If you had to pick one musical artist to listen to for the rest of your life, who'd you choose? Well, that's a fine thought. The rest of us would pick Willie Nelson. That's why I started the podcast One by Willie, a show in which I talk each week to one notable Willie fan about one Willie song that they really love. We've had guests you'd expect, like Miranda Lambert and Lyle Lovett, and others you might not, like Nick Offerman and Brene Brown. And what we've wound up with are uniquely personal looks at the life and art of a genuine American legend. I'm your host, John Spong. Y'all come check us out.
Hey, one-hit thunderers, thunderheads, thunder buns. All right, I'll just go with one-hit thunder listeners. This is Krista Makes, guitarist and vocalist for Less Than Jake, and host of Krista Makes a Podcast, a songwriting podcast where every week I'm joined by an amazing guest to break down the writing, recording, and release of one iconic song that they have written. In our giant evergreen back catalog of episodes, we've had rock legends such as Dee Snider and Huey Lewis, punk rock favorites such as Mark Hoppus, Fat Mike, and Brett Gurewitz, up-and-coming artists of today such as Liz Stokes of the Beths and Genesis Owusu, and even some of the artists that have been featured on One Hit Thunder. The show is even produced by One Hit Thunder host Chris Fafalius. What more could you possibly ask for? Krista Makes a Podcast is available for free on all the places you listen to podcasts, and new episodes come out every Monday. I guarantee you'll like it, or we'll give you your money back.
A lot of Young MC reminds me of like early Fresh Prince storytelling songs about being a kid stuff.
Yeah, sure. A very clear to understand story. Skilo's another good example. And then I think once gangster rap came in, there was a lot of more like interpreting what's going on. There's a lot of lingo used that you have to like dig a little deeper to understand. And I do think gangster rap a lot of times told a story, but the story wasn't as, absolutely clear sometimes.
Yeah. It was also a lot more symbolism, I think. Mm-hmm. And like the early hip hop, you know what I mean? Like Bust a Move tells a relatable story of just like being on the dance floor, hitting on girls. You know what I mean? Like Principal's Office, story about like getting in trouble and being sent to the principal's office. Like anybody of any age group or location can like relate to some of that, where when like NWA is coming out for the first time, or you're getting more of like that gangster rap or that like hardcore street city experience songs, like I think the reason why so much of white America gravitated towards it was because like that wasn't our experiences. Like it was like almost learning an entirely new thing. Like it's dangerous. Why people watch horror movies. Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, we've said it before. Krista Makes describes the Straight Outta Compton record as like one of the most punk records that's ever come out, because it gave you that same type of like, should I be listening to this vibes that like early 80s hardcore is supposed to give you.
Yeah, sure. But at this point, like you said, Young MC leaves Delicious Vinyl. In fact, it wasn't a great leaving too. No. They sued him for breach of contract. They eventually settled out of court. He wanted to leave Delicious Vinyl because of restrictions on his work, he said, and unwanted changes to his album. Okay. He signs with Capitol, releases Brainstorm in 1991. This went to number 66 on the Billboard 200, whereas his first album, Stone Cold Rhymin', went platinum. This album still went gold, so it's not like it's a total flop. I sent you a single from this album called Keep It In Your Pants. Huge guitar hook on the chorus of this song.
Boy,
once again,
incorporating
the rock and funk elements to it, and a pretty good song. You seem to like it.
It was I enjoy. You sent me 2 songs to listen to, and we'll get into both of them, but they were both really good. I like Young MC still in 2024 still has it. But this song was fun. This song fits right in there with like Principal's Office. I don't hear a hit when I listen to this song, but I still think it's a fun song. You know what I mean? Like you're like, all right, I would have enjoyed this if I had bought this CD in 1991 and stumbled on this track.
Yeah. So despite the world of hip hop changing around him, I got to give Young MC credit because he didn't just disappear. He released his third album, What's the Flavor, in 1993. It was a commercial failure. Both the album and the singles from it failed to chart. This was his second and final album on Capitol. And now this is interesting, Matt, because by 1997, 4 years later, we are not in the wrong, and Young MC himself would agree, for featuring him on a podcast called One Hit Thunder, because he released his fourth album in 1997 titled Return of the One Hit Wonder.
That made me laugh out loud when I saw that was the name of one of his records. That's
Yes.
so good.
He released it on an independent label. He had 2 singles from this album, Madam Butterfly and On and Poppin'. They both charted on the Hot Rap Songs chart in like the 20s. I checked these songs out. Madam Butterfly is just a beat and like a huge bass line. These songs, to be honest, no offense to Young MC, they're kind of forgettable. Okay?
Yeah. No, I agree. He does put out a 5th album a couple years later. Ain't going on like that.
Ain't going out like that.
Oh, God. Ain't going out like that. That makes way more sense. On his own record label, Young Man Moving Records. I love that record label name.
Yeah.
But while that like has a little bit of chart success, not much. It hits 85 on the R&B and hip hop record albums chart. But I think my favorite thing that we're about to get into is the very brief period where Young MC just kept winning celebrity competition stuff in the early 2000s. In 2002, he appeared as a contestant on The Weakest Link Rap Stars Edition, which he won. He beat out Reverend Run, DJ Quick, Jermaine Dupri, Debrat, Be Real, Exhibit, and Nate Dogg to win The Weakest Link. And then a couple years later, he was on the VH1 reality show Celebrity Fit Club 3, where he won that competition as well by losing the most weight out of everybody on the show. Now, the people on this show, way less people that I immediately knew. Kelly LeBrock, Bruce Valanche, I definitely know.
Yeah.
Chaz Bono, I know. Jeff Conway, I know. And Bizarre from D12, I know. There's a few other people in there where I'm really not sure who these people are.
You seem like someone who would be really into Bruce Valanche.
Bruce Valanche. So if for $1 billion, I couldn't tell you what Bruce Valanche actually does, but I do feel delight when he shows up on like a VH1 documentary or like one of those like I love the 80s type shows. I'm like, hey, there he is.
And Kelly LeBrock, of course, is from Weird Science, or much less notably, also the absolutely horrendous Gene Wilder written and directed movie, The Lady in Red, or The Woman in Red, whatever it's called.
The Woman in Red.
The Woman in Red, the worst movie ever. It is interesting. Young MC, look, once again, I give him a lot of credit. He never quit.
No.
So he's doing all this stuff. He released the album Adrenaline Flow in 2007, Relentless in 2008. What I got to say, Matt, it's so funny. Even the titles of these albums, it's kind of like reference to the fact that like, yo, I'm not stopping. Ain't going out like that. Relentless. Like he's like, I'm going to keep doing this no matter what. He did a little bit of acting, Matt. In 2009, he had a cameo role in the Jason Reitman movie Up in the Air starring George Clooney, where he played himself. You know, he's keeping himself relevant however he can. And I got to give him credit for that.
I think it's really funny, too, because he doesn't shy away from like, sure, you want me to show up in a movie and sing Bust a Move? I'll do it. You want me to show up at the NBA Finals and sing Bust a Move? Hell yeah, let's do it. Like he's doing the thing that we've all said. If you want to be respected on this show, don't be ashamed of your hit. Fucking own it and ride that shit to the bank. And I think that Young MC has definitely more than allowed himself to ride the success of Bust a Move into so many opportunities, gotten him into so many different parties. 35 some years after the song's release, he's still being able to like show up in newer things and get money from it showing up in TV shows. Like he has really done the thing that we tell every person on this show. Don't throw in the towel. Maybe you will like, look, he's doing the same thing that our buddies in Wheatus are doing. They found a way to ride the one song into a decades spanning career, and you cannot trash that at all.
You know, the people in the world who want to make music and put out records and tour and perform, and you had this success. Now, keep in mind, Young MC, I'm actually kind of thinking that he did most of the heavy lifting on Wild Thing and Funky Cold Medina too.
Yeah, I agree.
So he's not just a one-hit wonder. He wrote several memorable, huge songs, and if you watch interviews with him, he's very intelligent, well-spoken, interesting guy. So much to the point that Young MC, if you're listening to this right now, you should come on One Hit Thunder. We would love to have you as a guest on One Hit Thunder and talk to you about your experience, because to me, everything I've seen with you seem like a really cool guy. And I got to say that in October of 2024, Young MC charted again for the first time since 2002 with his song Fun Part, which reached number 38 on the Rhythmic Airplay chart. It's a very throwback hip hop song, like something from not even something from the late 80s. It sounds like something from the early 80s, which I thought was pretty interesting. I wasn't a huge fan of this song, but I was a fan of a song that I sent to you, Matt, a song called Kinetic, which from the time we're recording this episode, he released it like a month ago, and I kind of like it, man.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good.
I got to tell you, this song Kinetic is his recent single. It has, it's a very upbeat, like if you were dancing to this song, you'd really work up a sweat, which honestly, Bust a Move's the same way. If you were dancing hard, if you were busting a move to bust a move, by the end of that song, you're going to be kind of sweaty. But I really liked the lyrics of the chorus of Kinetic, where this right here is kinetic, gonna make the whole world hype energetic. If you're feeling nice with the price, you can get it. Dash for the cash or credit. Yes, I said it. I really liked the word play in the chorus of that song. And speaking of play, Matt, would you like to play a game?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
How do you think you can do on 7 questions here?
What is it just stuff from 1990?
It's like some 89 stuff and some Young MC stuff. It's kind of a mixed bag here.
All right, I don't feel confident in the late 80s, early 90s usually, so I'm going to say like 5 points is what I'm trying to get to. Yeah.
With getting 2 points with no multiple choice and 1 point with the multiple choice.
Yeah,
so
that's the best I think I can do. Let's do this.
You're setting the bar pretty low there, Matt. On October 17th of 1989, Columbia Records releases Stormfront, the 11th studio album from what singer-songwriter?
Oh, this one I definitely know because We Didn't Start the Fire was on it. Billy Joel.
You got it. 2 points right there, man. Now, I'm talking about October of 1989 because that is when Bust a Move peaked on the charts.
The song peaked on my birthday in 1989, October 14th.
Very nice. On October 4th of 1989, this actress, who is the daughter of Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson, is born in Austin, Texas.
Shit. Give me multiple choice because I know when I hear the name, I'll know who it is.
The daughter of Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson. A. Elle Fanning, B. Maya Hawke, C. Dakota Johnson, or D. Brie Larson?
Man, I'm going to make a wild guess here and go C. Dakota Johnson.
You got it. You like Dakota Johnson?
I feel like she'll be in something and I'm like, why do I know this person? And then I look at their IMDb and I'm like, oh yeah, they're in like a million things that I like. So yeah, I think I mostly like Dakota Johnson, but not enough to like register her face or name in my memory banks.
I like her for some reason too, but she's in 50 Shades of Grey. That's like her claim to fame, but she was also Madam Web, which I never saw, which was apparently like a very bad movie.
It was a pretty bad movie, yeah. I watched it when it finally showed up on Netflix out of curiosity.
I saw people like talking shit on it, and then I wanted to be to everybody. I wanted to be like, yo, all the Marvel movies are bad. They're all bad and cheesy.
Well, so here's I'll give you a very quick rundown of what's happening.
Like there's like a Pepsi logo or something.
Well,
like,
it's not that. It's not that. So they're all of, basically Sony owned Spider-Man. And Marvel wanted Spider-Man in the actual MCU movies. So the deal that they made was that Marvel could have Spider-Man, but Sony could have all of the other Spider-Man characters. So they've been making Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movies. So it's like the Venom movies, Madam Web, like it's just all these like random characters who maybe showed up in a Spider-Man comic, so Sony owns it. But like this one is extra weird because it's like, you know, you've watched a superhero movie in your life. You usually do the origin story for like the first 30 minutes and then something happens. This movie is 90 straight minutes of just the origin story and then ends as it might actually get interesting to be like a cliffhanger for the next movies. You're just like, why did I sit through this? Like,
Gotcha.
it's just really slow and boring.
Okay.
But yeah, all of those Sony Spider-Man movies are pretty bad. All right, next question.
You got 3 points. On October 13th of 1989, one day before Bust a Move hit its Hot 100 peak, this member of the U.S. Congress representing New York's 14th district is born in New York City.
Is this AOC?
You got it.
Yeah. I
She
got
was
my 5
born
points.
the day she was born the day before Bust a Move. All right, you got your 5 points already. That was easy. Now you're probably going to get this one too. In October 1989, this horror movie was number 9 at the box office, in which the fictional character of Jamie Lloyd is telepathically connected to her serial killer uncle.
89, it would be Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers?
You missed it. It's
Oh, it's
Halloween 5.
Shit.
Yeah, damn. Blew that horror movie night. Man, the horror movie night gang is going to be disappointed in you, Matt. Don't let them hear this. All right, you got 5
will
points still.
Bury this.
In the movie Uncle Buck, Buck's girlfriend, Shanice, is convinced that he is cheating on her with Marcy Dahlgren Frost when she walks in on Buck dancing with her. Who played Marcy in the movie?
Oh, God. I shockingly have not watched Uncle Buck more than maybe 2 times. Give me the multiple choice.
A. Laurie Metcalf. B. Jessica Lange. C. Annette Bening. Or D. Andy McDowell.
I can see this being Andy McDowell. Let's go with Andy McDowell. D.
That is incorrect. It was Laurie Metcalf.
Okay.
I would have taken you for a buckhead.
And now I was more of a Pretty in Pink man.
Oh, okay. Weird. Okay, so you're still stuck at 5 points?
Still
Is that
stuck
right?
at 5 points.
Well, you're going to get this one. In 2006, Young MC was a member of VH1's Celebrity Fit Club. Also on this season was this rapper, known as being part of the group D12.
Bizarre, baby. I love Bizarre.
How bizarre.
How bizarre. How
right.
bizarre.
You got 7 points. Hey, by the way, I heard How Bizarre somewhere recently, and I wanted to bust out this piece of trivia, and I couldn't remember. I knew it was a Millionaires Club, but I couldn't remember what the O stood for. It was like
It's
where they're
whatever-
from, right?
Yeah, it's whatever country they're from. I can't remember.
Okay.
It's certainly all I remember was that I couldn't properly pronounce it on the episode, which
Okay.
stop the presses and take a shot, everybody. But Matt Kelly stumbles over a word that he doesn't know.
Gotcha. All right, your final question here, Matt. What, you have 5 right now, right? Still? No, you
Yeah.
have 7. Never mind. You have 7 because you got the one that was already spoiled by earlier in the episode. You got the bizarre. Okay, 7.
Yeah.
And question 7. Young MC performed at the 2021 NBA Finals, which were won by which Giannis Antetokounmpo led team?
Jesus Christ. I have no fucking clue. Multiple choice, and I'll just guess off of those.
A, the Milwaukee Bucks. B, the Phoenix Suns. C, the New York Knicks. Or D, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Let's go with the Lakers. Why not?
That is incorrect. You should have been a Buckhead, Matt. I took you for a Buckhead. It was the Milwaukee Bucks. Come on, man. Giannis, the Greek freak. All right, you got 7 points. You did okay. You beat your very low bar.
Not by much. But
I know. You shouldn't even got credit for the bizarre question. Anyway, all right, we've arrived here. Young MC, Thunder or Blunder, Matt?
I think it's pretty obvious we are really into Young MC. I'm going to say Thunder. I think this is an easy Thunder.
I think it's also an easy Thunder because he's kept his career going and isn't, I mean, so much so that, 8 years later, he named his album Return of the One Hit Wonder. How couldn't we give him Thunder just for the self-realization in that way that he kind of had more than one hit, to be honest. But Thunder, I think Bust a Move is a pretty good song. I think he's a good rapper. I think it's a song that makes me want to bust a move. Yeah, Thunder all the way on Young MC.
This has been One Hit Thunder. One Hit Thunder is hosted by Chris Afalios of the band Punchline and produced by Matt Kelly of Geekscape.net. Underneath me, you're hearing In the Powder Blue off the Punchline album Lion. Go to punchlinemusic.com for merch and to find out more information on their upcoming shows. Our podcast is on Patreon now. Find us at patreon.com/OHT podcast for early access to episodes, bonus episodes, and a chance to vote on future songs for us to cover. Buy some merch from our new store at onehithunder.dasherly.com and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on any podcasting app. Tune in next week for more One Hit Thunder.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.
Plan on flying? It's time to upgrade to a Real ID. Because in order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a Real ID, or you'll need another acceptable form of identification. So don't wait. Find out how to get your Real ID at tsa.gov/Real ID. That's tsa.gov/Real ID. Or visit your local DMV, and then you'll be cleared for takeoff.